So when we go to India, I know that because of the work that we've been doing through the Tibetan Photo Project, that we're granted a lot of extra access. But I still feel it to be a great privilege to be allowed into the lives of the Tibetans. And I'm also discovering that in traveling India, you know, I mean, you're going to stand out. There's no blending when you're in India and you're a Westerner. But we had great moments with the Indian people where they allowed us into their lives. And right now we are working on at least two films, and maybe a third. But one of the ways that I work is I will simply go out and collect shots, and when I get home with the basic idea of a film, with a very very loose framework, I will then try to discover the film that's inside all the footage that I caught. But I consider some of the moments that I get to just be gifts from the people that gave them to me. And if I can just go over a couple of them, there was one where I was filming the prayer wheels outside of the backside of the Dalai Lama's compound, and the Tibetans come through there and they will turn the wheels and they will go off. And one of the things that I've always tried to collect footage of is some of the elderly Tibetans, simply because most of them came out with the Dalai Lama, and so but most of them, what we find is that they don't want to be filmed. And there was this one very wonderful lady who, had finished turning the prayer wheels, and she was walking towards me, and I aimed the camera at her, expecting her to tell me to stop filming, which of course I would have immediately. But she just kept walking towards me, and she gave me this wonderful, just finish to the piece of film. And there's nothing in the film that would have planned for this moment. So, I found a way to use it. It's a standalone piece, and I later saw this woman. The Dalai Lama happened to be returning from the United States that week, and I later saw this woman walking up and down the crowd, and she's obviously a very well-known, I don't want to say character, but that's probably the best word I can come up with. This woman is just full of life, and she was walking up and down the crowd, and she had a couple of Tibetan prayer flags sticking out of her backpack, and she's a cheerleader, and she's obviously very well known, and very different from most of the elderly Tibetans. Another shot was in Varanasi, and I had spotted a gentleman up in the window of a bright pink building. And I do a lot of handheld work because I need to be mobile, and so sometimes you never know, especially when you use a lot of zoom, if the shot's going to remain steady enough to even use. But I thought, well, the best way to do this is start with the gentleman in the window and then zoom back and hope for the best. And this building alone sort of was enough reason to film. So anyway, as I zoomed out, this is just the luck of the draw, but there was a young boy running up the stairs, and it just made the shot extremely special. And again, it's just one of those gifts. You can't plan for it. When you're shooting it, you don't have any idea where you're going to use it or what you're going to use it for, but it's become one of my favorite shots. And then one last shot is I was working with the Tibetan Information Office, and I was given a press pass to film the Dalai Lama's teaching in McLeod-Ganj. And this is his hometown. And the Tibetans come out, and they arrive at 6 in the morning. And there's a great deal more security now than there was when I was in India 4 years ago, because of the heightened sort of Chinese, I don't know what you want to call it, but the Chinese are much more blatant and much more threatening now than they were even 4 years ago. And so there's a heightened amount of security. And one of the shots that I got was, of course, of the Dalai Lama's security guard juxtaposed to a monk, and the concentration on the security guard's face just made for an amazing shot. And then, I went to this thing not exactly knowing how it was going to work or how it was going to unload, and I was hoping that I would find a position that would allow me to photograph the Dalai Lama as he walked by. Well, I had gone by the day before, and I had planned a corner at a sort of a fenced area, and by the time I arrived at 6 in the morning for his 9:30 teaching, this area was already filled in. So, and then there were signs, you know, foreigners area here, but thanks to my press pass, I was able to sit down with the Tibetans, and there was a red carpet that was leading out from the teaching area back towards the Dalai Lama's compound. Now, I had thought that, well, he was going to arrive and walk in this way, but he didn't. He came from upstairs, and so I wasn't sure what I had, and then it dawned on me, because I'm sometimes not real quick, but it dawned on me that he's going to leave out this carpet area. Well, I happened to have positioned myself right along the carpet, and again, you know, it's just one of those gifts you don't expect to get it. I was quite pleased to be allowed into the teaching and to be allowed the access that I had, and then I was able to pick up this close and much more personal shot, even though it was very brief. So, you know, as a documentary filmmaker, you know, I wouldn't tell anybody how to make a documentary film, but in my own mind, like I say, I don't structure them, and I just wait for the gifts to come along, and then somewhere in this case, there were 33 hours of film, and somewhere in there are 2 or 3 or 4 one-hour movies that, you know, and there'll be footage that I'll be able to use for years to come in various other projects, just because of where my focus is. And so, you know, I hope you take a look at the films. I hope you share them with friends, and whenever you can, please tell people about the Tibetan Photo Project and its efforts. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.